Hey Trent Knights, welcome Sea Lions. This is our second to last week before we have summer vacation, so let's dig in and do our best learning. I learned some new tools this week about how to use some features on Zoom, so bear with me as I apply them to our work. Now this week in reading, we are going to work on the targets of vocabulary and spelling. We've been doing a lot of main idea, finding the key details, and I still want you to do that, but I'm going to show you how to do some of the vocabulary and the spelling this week. And then writing, it's going to be so much fun because by now, hopefully you've finished your story about your animal, and now you get to write a cover page, a table of contents, and an about the author. So there's a very nice example I'm going to show you. And then we're going to do a quick review of math, subtraction with regrouping, and we're going to learn how to tell time to the 5 minutes. So let's get to it, everybody. We're going to scroll way down here to our vocabulary page. And this week, they want you to write a sentence to answer each question. Use the vocabulary words in your answers. So this requires some extra thinking because you have to choose which vocabulary word will be in your answer. So if I'm looking down at the paper, I see that they have the vocabulary words in bold: prices, value, worth, invented, record, system, money, purchase. And if you're wondering what those vocabulary words mean, you can read the story first that is at the beginning of your packet about money. But here's some examples. It says, what happens to prices during a sale? I could write a sentence like, the prices get lower during a sale. And so you'll notice that I used some of the words in the sentence to help me write my answer. And you can do that too. It helps with your spelling because you can see how they spelled it. But the most important thing is to use the same vocabulary word in your answer that is bolded. Let's try another one. How can you find the value or worth of something you want to buy? You can find the value or worth of something you want to buy. Notice how I used almost all of the same words in the stem of the question in my answer. You can find the value or worth of something you want to buy by looking at the price tag. And I would really like to make this fit on my line, but it's not going to let me. So you'll have to, I apologize for that. I'll undo that so you can see what I'm doing next. Last one I'll do together, then we'll move on. What is something you wish you had invented? I wish I had invented. What's something you want to do? I would say maybe the post-it note. Wouldn't that be a cool invention? You would make millions and millions of dollars if you came up with a very helpful invention. Okay, moving on. We're going to go down to the syllables. Excuse me. And we're going to do some spelling with syllables. So I like to find syllables by clapping out a word. So I'm going to read my list, and as I read, I'm going to sort into 1 syllable or 2 syllables. And then down here, you're going to write a spelling word that rhymes with each word below. So if I look here, this says way. That sounds like only 1 syllable, so I could write it here, way. Next one, display, display. I hear 2 syllables, so I would move it down here and write display. We'll do 2 more together, and then you get to do the rest on your own. Away. So after I sound it out, I'm going to do my clapping. away. That's 2. And then reach. Even though that's kind of long, listen to this. Reach. It just has 1 syllable. So it would go up here. Okay, now it says write a spelling word that rhymes with each word below. So we have to read all of our words first to know what will rhyme. So we already read to here, and then we can keep going. Root, enjoy, balloon, explain, play, meadow. We'll just do 2 and then we'll move on. Boot, root. It's even spelled the same way with 2 O's and a T. Contain. Oh, and I'm looking for the ending to be the same because that's how something rhymes. Explain. Okay, so you're gonna finish the rest of that page with your families or on your own. And now we're gonna move on to our writing. So we're gonna make a cover page. So you get to use your great illustration skills all about, I would write walruses if I was doing the one from my classroom. And I would have a table of contents like the walrus's habitat, the walrus's diet, fun facts. So those would be my table of contents. And then here you'd get to draw a little picture of yourself or about the author. And you would get to say something, you know, like the author of this story is Mrs. Vega. She has 3 children and a pug. She lives in Spokane Valley. And I could keep going. It's just going to tell all about you. So let's see what the teacher in this example gave. It's very nice. She did a story about bats, and then you can see the beautiful illustration she made. She put her name here. She has a lot of table of contents, so she wrote a lot of things. And here's some things you might want to consider adding to yours if you haven't. A dedication page. So who do you want your story to be dedicated to? At the bottom or the end, you might have a glossary for vocabulary that your readers might not know. And then meet the author. And here she has a picture from school, and she says, Mrs. Rom is a 2nd grade teacher at Otis Orchards Elementary School. She is married and has 3 children. Her hobbies include reading, running, and spending time with her family. She loves teaching because she has the most amazing students. So isn't that nice? And you could do something like that too, but it would be all about you. Okay, and the next thing, we're going to be talking about math, subtraction again. So we've been doing this for a while. This should be starting to feel a little easier. And I like how there's spaces in the numbers so we have room to regroup. So remember, we're always going to start in the ones column. And we say, is the bottom number bigger than the top? If it is, like in this case, we have to regroup because there's not enough to take away. So I'm going to borrow a group of 10 from the tens place. So that 4 becomes a 3. This 2 becomes a 12. And so then I'm going to subtract 12, take away 8 is 4. 3, take away 3 is 0. I didn't have to regroup again because the bottom wasn't bigger than the top. 3, take away 1 is 2. And I'm trying to write the numbers right underneath their place value there. So that's a little review for subtraction. And I want you to try it. I'll do one more because this one, you'll see the first one doesn't need any regrouping. So I can just say 3, take away 1 is 2. But then I get to the tens and I go, uh-oh, this 8 is bigger than this 6. So I gotta regroup. This 4 becomes a 3. This 6 becomes a 16, which is actually worth 160, right? Because you're borrowing a group of 100. But for the purposes of subtracting, we'll just say 16 take away 8. That's a double. It's 8. And 3 take away 2 is 1. So sometimes you might not have to regroup in the ones and then later you do in the tens. Sometimes you have to regroup across all of it. So we'll just, but you never will have to at the end because you should always have the biggest number on the top. So we're gonna clear that off and we're gonna move down to the next thing. So there's a lot of practice here. There's another one that shows different ways you can add and subtract other than the standard algorithm. But what I want to point out is the counting for the time. So I think most of you know how to count by fives, but if you don't, I'm going to sing you one of my favorite counting by five songs because you're going to need to know how to count by fives when you tell time on a clock. This week we're focusing on telling time by the 5 minutes, and every big number on the clock is worth another 5 minutes. So here's my song. You can sing along with me. Eat a slice of watermelon straight from the vine. 5 seeds in every slice, even mine. You got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Oh, mama. So you saw I was starting to try to type or draw, and it's a little tricky. I'm learning this as I go here, but if we write in the next one, that would be 40. Maybe I'll try to scoot it over a little bit. 40, and then the 9 is going to be worth 45. The 10 is going to be worth 50. The 11 is 55, and then the o'clock at the very top, that's 60 minutes and a whole hour, and it starts over again. So when we are telling the time, like here, we know that the time is told by the shorthand, and you pick the number that's smaller because it's not the next hour yet. It's still this hour. So this is 10, and then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. It's 10:35. Let's do one more and then you get to do the rest on your own. If I look at the hour hand, it's right in between the 3 and the 4, so I'm going to choose 3. And then for the minutes, we're going to count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then I stop right there because that's where the arrow is, and it's 3:25. Okay. That's all I got for you this week. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week for our last week of school. Bye, Sea Lions.